Dalton, a mechanic in a small town, was used to stray dogs seeking shelter under cars at his shop. But this time, a stubborn, scared dog refused to budge from beneath an abandoned sedan. Concerned, Dalton tried every trick to coax it out, but the dog's persistent refusal led him to investigate further. What he found hidden in the shadows under the car made his heart race, compelling him to call the police immediately. Welcome to Wonderbot Animals. Every morning, Dalton would check for stray dogs and cats underneath every car in his shop. He knew it was their favourite hiding place to keep warm at night, with some even climbing inside the car through the bottom and getting stuck. One time, Dalton even had to remove an entire wheel to rescue a small kitten stuck between the brake mechanism. As he opened the gate to his salvage yard, he already saw many animals running out from under the cars. Dalton chuckled a bit at the sight. He began his usual check, crouching down next to every car and looking underneath. Usually, the animals scramble if they only hear Dalton getting close to the car, so by the time he looks underneath, most are already gone. But this time, not all the animals ran away. He looked underneath the car, not really paying a lot of attention, thinking he wouldn't see an animal anyway. But when he sat back up again, he paused. Had he seen something moving? Confused, he looked underneath the car again, and to his surprise, he had indeed seen something moving. There, camouflaged against the black wheel of the car, shivered a little black dog. "Come on," he kindly said. "Get out of there." But the dog didn't move. He looked at Dalton with wide, fearful eyes. The dog looked very distressed and cold, almost too scared to move a muscle. Dalton knew he couldn't get to work as long as this dog was underneath this specific car, as it was scheduled to get crushed today. If this dog wouldn't get out underneath the car anytime soon, it could end very badly. Dalton quickly called his crew to ask them not to begin with the car crushing process, but no one picked up. Shit, Dalton thought. This dog really had to move, and quickly. He reached underneath the car and got a hold of one of the dog's legs, but as he gently pulled it, the dog began to whine loudly. Dalton quickly let go of the dog's leg out of fear of it being hurt. He sighed. This was going to be harder than he thought. Suddenly, one of his men called back. "Jack, whatever you do, don't start the car crushing process yet," Dalton frantically said as soon as he picked up. "Good morning to you too, boss," Jack said with a chuckle. "Why not, though?" Dalton explained everything to Jack, who immediately wanted to help. He told Dalton he might know a way to get the dog out from underneath the car. Dalton was eager to accept his help, as he was out of ideas. Jack told Dalton he would be there within 15 minutes, so Dalton waited, and waited, and waited. But after 30 minutes, Jack was still nowhere to be seen. Finally, when Dalton was just about to call him, Jack showed up. Dalton's eyebrows furrowed at the sight of his employee, his hands full of stuff he had never seen before. "Sorry I'm late. I had to get something from the store," Jack nonchalantly said with a smile on his face. Dalton smiled back, his hope a little restored. "So, what's the plane here, Jack?" Jack put the box down next to the car and peeked underneath. "Hello, buddy," he said to the dog in a high-pitched voice. "I have something very yummy for you." Dalton couldn't keep in his laughter as he listened to Jack's baby voice. Jack usually had a very low and manly voice, the total opposite of what Dalton was hearing now. "Stop laughing, man. It's working." Jack laughed. He playfully slapped Dalton's shoulder. "Give me the meat that's in the box I brought," he asked. Dalton quickly reached inside the box and took out a packet of bacon. Jack placed 2 pieces of bacon in front of the dog, close enough for it to eat without moving. Then, he moved the bacon a little further away. He wanted the dog to have a little taste of the bacon, so it would easily follow the bacon trail that would lead the dog out from underneath the car. But the dog refused. Jack could see its nostrils moving as it smelled the bacon, but he could also see every fibre of the little dog's body refusing to move from its spot. What the heck was going on here? "Sorry, man, this isn't going to work." "I think there's something wrong with the dog," Jack defeatedly said as he sat up again. Dalton peeked under the car, inspecting the dog from top to bottom. Suddenly, he saw something underneath the dog that confused him. "Jack, come and have a look. Do you see that underneath the dog's fur?" Jack looked where Dalton was pointing at and frowned. "Yeah, I see it. But what's so special about it?" Dalton sighed. "Don't you know what it is? It's someone's shoe." He looked at Jack with wide eyes, but Jack still didn't get it. "Jack, seriously? What is a random shoe doing under this car? No one besides us comes in this scrapyard. No one." It slowly began to dawn on Jack what could be going on. "You don't think?" he slowly said, looking at Dalton shocked. Dalton nodded his head. "Actually, I do." Jack stared at Dalton for a second. "What do we do now?" he asked Dalton after a while. Dalton crawled underneath the car as far as he could, trying to grab the shoe, but the dog suddenly growled and showed its teeth. "What the?" Dalton said as he quickly pulled his arm back. "We need to call the police or something." His heart was beating in his chest as he looked at his seemingly unscratched hand. "There's something very strange going on with this dog, and I don't think we can figure it out on our own." Jack nodded. "All right, I'll call them." Jack grabbed his phone with shaky hands, dialing 911. "There's a situation here at the scrapyard," he explained, his voice laced with urgency. "A dog, under a car. It might be dangerous." On the other end, the dispatcher's tone was nonchalant, a stark contrast to Jack's panicked cadence. "Sir, is the animal injured or aggressive?" they asked, sounding more inconvenienced than concerned. Jack's voice grew desperate. "It's not just the dog, there's something else. Under the car. It's odd." The dispatcher's response was tinged with skepticism. "Sir, if the dog isn't a threat, we can't prioritize it. We have emergencies to attend to." Jack's frustration mounted as he tried to articulate the gravity of the situation, but his words seemed to fall on deaf ears. Dalton, overhearing the call, felt a knot in his stomach. The dispatcher's dismissive attitude was clear, even from a distance. "What if they don't come in time?" he muttered, a sense of helplessness washing over him. The dog's persistent whining under the car echoed his growing alarm, mirroring the urgency of the unseen danger. Every second that ticked by felt like an eternity to Dalton and Jack. Dalton paced, his gaze shifting between the phone in Jack's hand and the car under which the dog remained hidden. The sound of the dispatcher's indifference on the phone was drowned out by the loud beating of Dalton's heart, each thump a reminder of the unknown threat lurking in the shadows. Jack finally ended the call, a mix of anger and fear in his eyes. "They're not taking it seriously," he said, voice strained. Dalton clenched his fists, feeling a surge of frustration. "What now?" he asked, looking helplessly at the sedan. They both stood in silence, the weight of the situation bearing down on them, uncertainty and fear taking hold. Resolved, Dalton and Jack sprang into action. They began cordoning off the area around the car with whatever they could find, old ropes, chains and signs. "We can't let anyone near this until we figure out what's going on," Dalton declared firmly. They worked in silence, their eyes occasionally meeting with a shared understanding of the gravity of the situation. Dalton's mind was a whirlwind of possibilities. What if the dog is protecting something or someone, he thought, his eyes flicking to the shoe visible under the car. Every possible scenario seemed to escalate the gravity of their discovery. The weight of the unknown pressed heavily on him, adding to the urgency of the unfolding mystery. Jack noticed Dalton's growing anxiety and put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Hey, let's focus on what we can do right now," he suggested with a steady voice. "Maybe we can gather more evidence, something concrete to show the police." His words were a lifeline in the storm of Dalton's racing thoughts, grounding him back to the moment. Together, Dalton and Jack methodically worked through the scrapyard, securing each potential entry point. They moved with purpose, ensuring that no one could disturb the scene under the car. Their actions were precise and coordinated, a testament to their determination to protect the dog and preserve whatever lay hidden beneath the sedan. As they finished securing the yard, Dalton and Jack stood back, surveying their work. The anxiety in the air was palpable, mixing with a sense of anticipation. They hoped their efforts would be enough to preserve the scene until the police arrived. Uncertainty hung heavy over them as they waited, each minute stretching out endlessly. The distant wail of sirens grew steadily louder until 2 police cars pulled into the scrapyard, their presence slicing through the tense atmosphere. Officers stepped out, their expressions stern and focused. Dalton and Jack watched, a mixture of relief and apprehension in their eyes, as the police began to assess the situation, their seriousness signifying a pivotal change in the day's events. The officers wasted no time. They listened intently as Dalton and Jack explained the situation, their quick actions to cordon off the area around the car, affirming the gravity of the situation. Seeing the police take their concerns seriously brought a semblance of validation to Dalton and Jack, who had felt frustrated and helpless just moments before. The scrapyard, once a place of routine work and occasional animal rescues, transformed rapidly into a bustling scene of police activity. Officers moved around with purpose, their attention centered on the car under which the dog remained hidden. The air was charged with a new sense of urgency as the investigation began in earnest. Watching the officers take charge, Dalton and Jack shared a brief mutual sigh of relief. The responsibility they had felt was now in the hands of the authorities. They stood back, watching the unfolding scene, their hearts still racing, but comforted by the thought that answers might soon be within reach. The investigation commenced with methodical precision. Officers began examining the area, taking photos, and making notes. Dalton and Jack observed from a distance, their curiosity piqued by every move the police made. This marked a significant turn in the day's events, the mystery under the car evolving from a local concern to a matter of official inquiry. Dalton's thoughts wandered back in time as he watched the police work. He remembered finding odd items scattered around the yard, noises in the night he had dismissed as wind or animals. Now, he wondered if these were not just random occurrences, but hints of something more sinister that had been happening right under his nose. He recalled small items, a glove, a broken watch, a child's toy, things he had found and set aside, assuming they were left behind by customers or blown in by the wind. These seemingly insignificant discoveries now took on a new meaning in Dalton's mind, making him question if they were early warnings of trouble. A particular memory surfaced, troubling Dalton further. He remembered a car, unfamiliar and out of place, that had appeared near the scrapyard several times, often late at night. At the time, he hadn't thought much of it, but now the memory seemed potentially ominous, adding another layer of unease to the current situation. Dalton also thought back to the strange noises he had heard at night, rustlings and muffled thumps he had attributed to animals rummaging. With the current events unfolding, he couldn't help but wonder if those sounds were something more. Perhaps clandestine activities he had inadvertently ignored. Standing during the active investigation, Dalton felt a growing sense of unease as he pieced together these past incidents. Each memory, once considered trivial, now seemed like a fragment of a larger hidden puzzle. He couldn't shake the feeling that these echoes from the past were somehow intertwined with the mystery unfolding before him. A calm and composed animal control officer arrived at the scene, her approach gentle yet confident. She carefully assessed the situation, speaking softly to the dog under the car, her demeanor a blend of professionalism and empathy. Dalton and Jack watched, impressed by her ability to simultaneously reassure the animal and ensure everyone's safety. With patience and skill, the officer coaxed the dog out from its hiding spot. Once safely secured, the dog seemed less tense, its tail wagging tentatively. This allowed the police to focus on the area beneath the car more intensely. Dalton and Jack felt a sense of relief as this key witness was safely removed from the scene. As the police delved deeper into the investigation, they discovered more personal items hidden under other cars in the scrapyard. Each item unearthed, a scarf, a notebook, a set of keys, hinted at a larger, more intricate story. The accumulation of these seemingly disconnected objects began to form a tapestry of unspoken narratives. The finding of these items marked a significant shift. The scrapyard, once just a collection of metal and machinery, was now a crime scene riddled with mysteries. Dalton and Jack found themselves at the heart of an unfolding drama. Their familiar workplace transformed into a landscape of intrigue and unanswered questions. The police, recognizing the growing complexity of the case, expanded their investigation. They methodically combed through the scrapyard, scrutinizing every corner for additional clues. Dalton and Jack observed the meticulous process, realizing the extent of what might have been happening right under their noses, hidden among the wrecks and relics of the yard. Word of the police activity at Dalton's scrapyard spread like wildfire through the small town. At diners, gas stations, and on street corners, people whispered and speculated. Rumors ranged from the mundane to the wild, each retelling adding a layer of mystery and intrigue. The scrapyard, once just a backdrop to daily life, became the focal point of town gossip. Local news crews, drawn by the buzz of police activity, descended on the scrapyard with cameras and microphones in tow. Reporters interviewed bystanders, capturing the growing curiosity and concern among the residents. Dalton's scrapyard, usually quiet and unnoticed, buzzed with the frenetic energy of a media frenzy, thrusting it into an unwelcome spotlight. As speculation mounted, Dalton found himself and his business scrutinized by the public. Customers who had once greeted him warmly now looked at him with a hint of suspicion. The whispers and sideways glances were a constant reminder that his reputation, built over years of hard work, was now being questioned by the very community he served. The community's reaction to the unfolding events was a complex mix of concern, curiosity, and suspicion. While some expressed worry for Dalton and his business, others speculated about possible wrongdoings connected to the scrapyard. Dalton felt the weight of their mixed reactions, a reminder of how quickly public opinion could shift. The scrapyard, once a simple local business, had become the epicenter of a much larger narrative. Dalton and Jack, accustomed to the routine and solitude of their work, now found themselves at the center of attention. This newfound scrutiny brought a heavy burden, affecting not just the scrapyard, but their personal lives as well. In a turn of events, a local resident approached the police with hesitant steps and a nervous demeanor. The person revealed seeing a mysterious car frequenting the scrapyard, especially in the dead of night. This information, previously withheld due to fear, now presented a crucial breakthrough in the investigation, bringing a new angle to the unfolding mystery. The police, armed with this new testimony, began to piece together a pattern of activity centered around the strange car. Detailed descriptions and timings provided by the witness painted a clearer picture of the car's presence at the scrapyard. This information steered the investigation in a new direction, focusing on identifying the vehicle and its purpose. With this pivotal lead, the scope of the investigation narrowed. The police intensified their efforts, aiming to track down the mysterious car and its owner. They combed through recent surveillance footage, checked vehicle registrations, and reached out to other local authorities, determined to uncover the identity and motives behind the car's frequent visits. The witness's testimony revealed more than just the presence of the strange car. It hinted at late-night visitors to the scrapyard who were not from the local community. This revelation suggested clandestine meetings or activities taking place under the cover of darkness, adding a layer of secrecy and urgency to the investigation. With each new piece of information, the complexity of the case deepened. The mysterious car and its unknown visitors pointed to a larger, potentially more organized operation than what was initially suspected. The scrapyard, once thought to be a simple backdrop for odd occurrences, now seemed to be a nexus for something much more significant. During the ongoing investigation, Jack became increasingly reserved, a storm of conflict brewing within him. He carried a secret, one he feared could be crucial to the case. His usual jovial demeanor faded, replaced by a pensive, troubled expression. He found himself wrestling with the weight of his knowledge, unsure of how to proceed. Jack was torn. His loyalty to Dalton and the scrapyard, a place that had been a second home, clashed with the gnawing realization that his information could be vital. He struggled with the potential repercussions, understanding that coming forward could change everything. This internal battle between loyalty and duty consumed his thoughts, leaving him restless. The secret Jack harbored felt heavier with each passing day. He understood the implications of his knowledge and the possible consequences of revealing it. The burden of this decision weighed heavily on him, casting a shadow over his daily life. He grappled with the fear of betrayal and the moral responsibility of truth. After much internal debate, Jack reached a decisive moment. He realized the importance of his information and its potential impact on the investigation. With a deep breath, he steeled himself for what was to come, ready to face the consequences. It was a decision born of a desire for truth and justice, overriding his fears. Jack approached the police, his resolve firm. He disclosed his secret, his voice steady, despite the turmoil inside. This revelation marked a critical turning point in the investigation. The officers listened intently, understanding the gravity of Jack's information. It added a new dimension to the case, steering the investigation in a direction that could unravel the mystery enveloping the scrapyard. Following Jack's revelation, the police revisited the sedan under which the dog had been hiding. They carefully examined the shoe, now understood to be a pivotal piece of evidence. This seemingly insignificant item, once guarded by the dog, turned out to be a key that unlocked an important part of the complex puzzle enveloping the scrapyard. The investigation uncovered that the shoe was part of a trail leading to a large crime circle operating from the scrapyard. This startling discovery sent waves of disbelief through Dalton and Jack. The scrapyard, a place of their livelihood, had unknowingly served as a facade for deeper, darker activities. Empowered by this new lead, the police swiftly organized raids on various locations connected to the scrapyard. These actions uncovered a significant cache of stolen goods, along with undeniable evidence of extensive criminal activities. The scale of the operation, hidden behind the mundane facade of the scrapyard, was larger than anyone had anticipated. As the investigation deepened, it revealed the involvement of several local individuals, some of whom were well-known faces in the community. This revelation sent shockwaves through the town, challenging the trust and perceptions of its residents. The scrapyard, once a simple local business, had been the center of a complex web of crime. In the wake of these discoveries, Dalton and Jack were recognized for their critical roles in bringing the truth to light. Their actions reshaped the public's perception of the scrapyard and its owner. Once under a cloud of suspicion, they emerged as unwitting heroes who had stood at the forefront of uncovering a hidden criminal network. In the wake of the revelations, the town found a new sense of unity. People came together, offering support and working to rebuild the trust that had been shaken. Dalton's scrapyard, once a scene of suspicion, became a symbol of resilience and community strength. The townsfolk's efforts to heal and move forward together marked a new chapter in their collective story. Inspired by recent events, Dalton began transforming his scrapyard. No longer just a place for old cars, it became a hub for community activities. He organized charity events and opened up the space for local gatherings, fostering a sense of unity and cooperation. The scrapyard, once isolated, was now a vibrant part of the community's life. A small, poignant memorial was erected at the scrapyard. It served as a testament to the challenges faced and the lessons learned, a reminder of the community's strength and resilience. The memorial, simple yet meaningful, became a place for reflection, symbolizing the town's ability to overcome adversity and emerge stronger. Dalton stood by the memorial, his gaze softening as he watched the now-adopted dog play nearby. He reflected on the unforeseen journey, contemplating his role in the events and the changes that followed. He felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection with the community, realizing that adversity had brought them closer and unveiled new paths. As the story drew to a close, Dalton looked toward the future with a newfound determination. The scrapyard, once a place of solitary work, had become a beacon of community spirit. He was resolved to maintain the vigilance and unity that the events had sparked, moving forward with a purpose shaped by the experiences that had unexpectedly changed his life.